da nam da ra ze ve jinin tungun jijin se je ni ji do ga la ba man ze kanda se be zun ra ra ma re men dum dong en ji ze be ro sun ke ha bu xie da ze yang na du ju yang de sun he zhuo ni mu ni no le ji jia zhuo zhuo zi xin ma le nu zi nu ni niu xi ni zhen zi ra zhi nam tian ni ta zhi sa zhu ta cui yun den lun zuo yin jiao zi du wei gu ju zha ju dang ju ni jian zhi da le mi zhen zhang bei yang lan du ma ra ba zhen Kira veze ji ta du di mu men ba ra se ne ada den ju shun lo da ba ye lo zhe ba lo ren ze lo su zong ne da wang tam ji bang bei qie tan bei xue ne den ne bei Odam da ja ni sham na ran ju ba lo ni ja ro ye da ye jen zo ye be zo nam do la pe chi san jin ru ba ra shu ye che dan zo ye che nam da chan ju ba zo na ni ja ro je da ye jen zo ye be zo nam du la ben je san jin ru ba ra shu ye che dan zo ye che nam da chan ju ba zo da ni ja ro je da ye jen zo ye be ben je san jin ru ba ra shu 동년 인지 정도 주변 너무 제제 선생 가제 된저는 천나도 못 된전자 좀나 조원도 조신도 돈도 점점 수라고 나도 왜미 계속 다원도 중고 좀 대be 개별 답변 저거에 선제 신년 교나 창선 반대 저베 라마정 본제 나게 인가 배면데 정말 가진 신병고는 저 손도 우선도 진고 존재로 Okay, good morning, everybody. Because now today is a weekend, how do you feel? Because yeah, you know, the one good sign of enjoying the holiday is how much you put effort on the weekdays. And then there is a weekend, then you feel like, yes, there's a weekend coming up. So there you appreciate the space, the free space very much. That I kind of learned from one of my very close friends, Rinpoche, Song Rinpoche, very learned, educated Rinpoche. So one time when I met Rinpoche, during the one, I think puja time, Rinpoche told me tomorrow is Monday in the big big monastery in Monkot. the holiday is on Monday. So because he's so excited because tomorrow is a Monday. And then for me, every day is like a Monday for me. So, so I was very curious why he's really excited about this. So therefore, through Rinpoche, I kind of learned that he really put a strong effort during his studies. So then he kind of earned his the vacation, the weekend, and especially we don't have like Saturday and Sunday, so only Monday is the one. So it goes the same kind of reason here for you all. So how much you put effort, how much you enjoy your weekdays. Then, of course, when you feel so kind of confused or so much kind of exhausted a little bit, in a good way. And then, of course, when you feel there is a free space, time, then you feel so refreshing. So today is the one. Today is the Saturday, tomorrow is Sunday. So a great Shantideva, in the I think on the 7th chapter on the meditation, he kind of give us a tip how to enjoy the vacation, a break actually. He says a break which helps you to make your meditation stronger is that kind of break we need. So, so when we have a break, not only just focusing on studies, but then you feel like his mind plays games with us actually. So we wanted to really enjoy something, but then we feel there's so much enjoyment somewhere there. But then when you try to enjoy that time or food or something, and then if you ask the question again, and then there is not the actually kind of this preciousness or so much when you have some huge expectation, it isn't there. We can feel that. And then somehow we felt like the best moment to enjoy your vacation is when you feel there's a vacation coming up. Not the vacation itself. Okay. Oh. Okay. Okay. So we now start with a question, and then maybe we discuss a little bit about it. Okay. Okay. Did you? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you. Rinpoche, in the last question and answer, I asked whether a red square is a color and shape, and you said that it is a shape because shape is the aspect that the mind pays attention to. Mm-hmm. Is that correct?
Yes.
So I would like to debate that it follows that by the same reasoning, when we see a person we are angry with, mm-hmm. then it follows that that person is his or her bad qualities. Uh-huh. Because the bad qualities are the aspect in which our mind engages with and pays attention to.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Because when we talk about enemy, we are looking through some kind of a negative side. So that's what we say enemy exists. Even though forget about the emptiness or something, but then on the reality we say Buddha does have an enemy. Do we say that? But then the greatest thing is on which aspect the Buddha sees that person, through the bad qualities or through the kindness or the goodness of the good quality. So then Buddha always try to point it out, I'm looking at the good side only. And I'm not grasping towards the bad thing. So that is such a huge teaching towards us. So similarly, when one particularly food, okay, let's bring example of pizza. So many of us like pizza, but here I am a person who don't like pizza. But then if the pizza is tasty or not, then we feel like the taste is already there something. The good taste, bad taste. But then it is my kind of how I observed, how I feel the taste of and how you taste it. It's a two different thing. So I have my own right to say, I don't like the taste of pizza. But you would say like, oh, I love pizza. But that two thing, the bad taste and the good taste, so that aspect is on the pizza or not. Then it's a one different debate. But then looking at that on a one pizza, he likes pizza, relatively he doesn't like a pizza. It's there. So similarly, if you look at the shape, through the shape, the reason that you feel the shape is so good, and then secondarily you choose a color on that, then your focus is on the shape itself. So I say this is a shape. And then most people agree with that, and no debate. And there is a debate, maybe one saying like, no, like especially German bread. That was a one big debate. No, it's not a taste. It's beyond taste. Same thing. Yeah, that we already spoke about that. This is why if you say your guru is a human being, for a person who sees that guru is more than a Buddha, then that person will hear something differently. Saying, no, he's more than a human. We say that because when we see this human way of thinking, it's a little ordinary, you feel that, then you don't want to put this, how he respected so much that you don't want to put that into this category, which you feel ordinary. But then you really need to hold to the debate that Guru is a human being. So how you define the human being, it's really up to you. So there's so many things to take away from this, not only the shape and the color, but how you are fixed to that. So the person who has a good aspect and a bad aspect, for like me, I have good friends, close friends. They can see my bad qualities, but they are not focusing on my bad qualities. They are kind of maybe looking, wow, he has these great qualities. That's why I feel so close to him. So that's my good friend. And there's maybe friend, maybe can take advantage of me. That is a different way of thinking. But then there's my enemy. He only sees something bad thing, and he's focused only solely one kind of that. Because the reason why he's solely fixed on that, even somebody says he has a good qualities, that is a good, not a strong enough argument. So that's why he say, yeah, he has some good qualities, so what? But he's like that, so fixed there. That's the position. So then the greatest thing is a person who come to know that this being has bad qualities and good qualities, and then you are drawn by his quality of this good thing, and then you are fixed to this. And then you somehow you can see some improvement through these qualities of him. That's why the great Bodhisattva Geshe Tongme Sangpo, in the 37 practices of Bodhisattva, in there he when he defined what is enemy, then he said, without putting an effort, you just sit with him. Their bad qualities influence, somehow you don't know how that, without some kind of effortless, somehow you get it. I call this is a bad friend. And then right next to that, when he defines about what is the teacher, actually he wanted to tell that the teacher is your best friend. So he says, just sitting next to him, somehow you get the good qualities without so much effort. Inspiration. So then I call this is a teacher. In a very simple way he put it. But then if we look at our own mind, this is actually a kind of true. Somehow you have a problem, you sit next to that person, automatically you're kind of, even that friend didn't say anything, but just he coming to your house and sitting next to you, it gives us so much relief. That's how we call, he's my friend, best friend. Without much knowing the qualities, of course. With knowing the quality, and then he sit next to you, and you feel there is always the answer, and that could be your teacher. Yeah. And this kind of debate, whether even he has a good qualities and bad qualities, and then how, where we can take him in a good or bad, or then this whole debate comes at the when Lama Tsongkhapa's, I don't know the in the English term, Tanye Tsirup. Tanye Tsirup. It's a. It is called the. There's no help backup. There's no backup. There's no backup. Okay, so Tanye Tsirup. Let's put it. The conventional reasoning, maybe something like that, I'm not sure. So where it says, when understanding the emptiness, then the next question what it comes to our mind will be, so where now we need some to hold on to some kind of the position where somehow it exists. When somehow you understand emptiness, then you feel like through this strong influence of understanding a little bit of emptiness, what you will get in your mind is everything diluted? There's no kind of the real thing exists. So when we say the real thing how it exists, then it becomes a huge kind of a gap in our mind, because we already come to accept that all the phenomena has its emptiness. So when we focus the whole to this position, that emptiness of all the phenomena, then you see some things are functioning. Then if you don't have a good understanding how things function, things can be functioned after you solitarily have the position of all the phenomena, can be emptiness. Can be. Maybe not can be. It could be more like has its emptiness. Like when we talk about two truths. All the phenomena has their two truths. So then the biggest thing is when we put the cup as an example, it does not exist by its own. And then even you say on the conventional level it can exist. And so then the debate is, what does that conventional functioning really means? It is something that how it works, and then truly it does not exist. So maybe it's more like a dream. In the dream, things does not exist at all, but you still see. So that kind of understanding, when it becomes so difficult to feel, to hold the position, that is a shape, that is a person, that is a cup. So the debate where Lama Tsongkhapa in the special insight, so he clarifies kind of saying, in order to understand the conventional truth, then you need to understand 3 points there. So then he says, Tanyebe Tsamala Chakwa, it is, I don't know, Chakwa. It is difficult to say that in English now. Become limited. Now I cannot say clearly, so what I will do is send the link of that once I get it, and then I will post that in a group. Okay. So back to the debate, to what my friend asked here. It is maybe there are so many aspects, but then I wanted to say it's a shape. I wanted to say this is a taste. And then in order to say this, but no, for us, without understanding emptiness, it is also a little difficult to say that what really should be my position. But then also this difficulty thing is more difficult when we come to talk about emptiness and then to accept this kind of reality. These are some kind of things that we need to keep in our mind. It is related, so related. So the great Milarepas, when he time to time with the realization, when he not a sing, but then what do you say it? Sing is like a very ordinary. So when the realization just burst out from his speech, through his speech, then he said, I cannot control. It's like vomiting, you know? He said, now I cannot control, it's just coming up. What's that? Cracked out? Cry. Not necessarily cry. Cry sounds like there's something negative there. Maybe in a good way, I'm not sure. But it's more like with the joy, yes. It's coming out like without control. Okay. What's that? Exclaimed? Exclaimed. Okay. Simultaneously, yeah, it comes out. So then there, he says, on the level of all the ultimate, I proudly can say now, there's no Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. So he says, like, with so much joy. So then, later on his teachings, and then he talks about all the kindness, all the qualities of his Guru, Marpa, and then also the qualities of Buddha. But his position there very strongly says, on the ultimate level, I confirm and myself that there is no Buddha and Bodhisattvas. And then now I can give this following teachings proudly. So this is a hint for you guys. Because when we debate, sometimes we are so fixed to something, then you really need to not only to debate with your partner, but more with those skill that you can kind of eliminate the position of your friend or classmate. But then also, when you feel that some fixed something here, if you can just move a little inch, and then there is a gap. Within this gap, you shouldn't leave it like a gap there, but you need to join it. Join with, then you don't need to join it at the right moment, just now. Then you just feel like, okay, normally I say strongly, this is a taste, this is something, but then there is always some kind of a debate there. So it leaves you so much room that later, now maybe in this, in the November, later December, when Adisha will bring some debates from the Parmana, the first chapter, then you will get some hints. So then this kind of a hint is something from your now debate, I think, doing all this the debates. Then you, right now, you shouldn't harsh to get the answer so quickly. More you earn the answer feel like how that could be possible, how that could be possible, how that could be possible, with a little bit of joy of knowing that. And then later, maybe sometimes Adisha or my teacher and me, when we give some kind of a classes, we maybe not have an intention or motivation to say this, but somehow you will get the answer. Because the credit goes to you. But how the blessing comes through is as a condition is from some activities for sure, but you earned it. It happened many times in my life, and it happens with most of the students. Of course, maybe you already have that. So it is not necessarily we need to so much kind of put effort or rush towards to get the right answer. More you have to kind of make sure that you are going on the right track. Like my teacher on the Wednesday, how he did the presentation, saying, so we make this syllogism, so then he made a syllogism saying, I need to practice Dharma, and then reason is, then he asked the reason. And then mostly surprisingly, it's so simple, but we just wanted to keep the big ones. Buddhajita is so important, renunciation so important. But then my teacher said, well, this is a reason, but it's not like a direct reason. So see now, this syllogism is needed to be connected right like this. It shouldn't be more like normally how we practice. It's more like to be direct on to the first. When we talk about three syllogism, the syllogism, what we call the middle one, predicate. Predicate, the predicate, and then the predicate, and then the first one, subject, and combining this together, thesis. So the thesis so important. So in order to give this reason, the best thing of this thesis is you have a more strong to know the reason. The better the reason will be. This is something to take away. Normally, when we have this, the subject, and then the predicate, and then even the thesis itself is not strong. And then the reason how much you put it, it's nothing personal. It's not your personal thing. It is something like you're talking about something else. It's happening somewhere there and here around us. There's nothing connected here. So that's the reason when we debate, we say take the sound. I'm learning with you guys. It was embarrassing. The sound, and then we say, when we debate this to the Dharmakirti, we say the sound is impermanent because it functions. What's that? Product? Produced. Oh yeah, produced. So the thesis is not a correct one for the Dharmakirti. Why? Yes, he already knew that. He does not have a doubt. Okay? So, that thesis should be correct to the person who wish to know, who has this the enthusiastic, so enthusiastic to know. Then according to that person, when we debate, then put a reason that is a product. Then it gives us such a kind of a, that thesis becomes so accurate. So now check when you study, when we say like me, I as a subject, and then have to practice Dharma. Is it a correct thesis for you? Oh, then it leaves so much doubt there. Because in order to these all accurate syllogism, that you need to understand one by one. The subject you need to understand, and Dharma you need to understand. And then the reason, you need to understand that. Without understanding that, if you say the sound, impermanent, produced, it is not going to be one accurate syllogism. Similarly, that's why my teacher brought up this debate with you in front of you, saying, me, I have to practice Dharma. So what is practicing Dharma for you in your mind? Then he give all this reason what you just are saying, thinking, it is not a direct link. And then it is so simple. How simple is that? You say, I need to practice Dharma because, what is the reason? Yes, I wanted to be happy. Maybe don't focus on happiness. Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. If we say one happiness, that is not the thing that actually you feel you need to practice Dharma. In order to be happy, I wanted to, then we all know, yeah, to become happy, I really don't need. But then mostly, importantly, when Buddha gave the Four Noble Truth, or teaching on the Four Noble Truth, when he talked about the suffering, truth of suffering, and then remember the four aspects of the first truth, it talks about the four aspects, and then he says, know the suffering. But he will not say, know the cessation. He will won't say, know the path, but he said, know the suffering. So then, when this thesis, when we say, I have to practice Dharma, so that Dharma, the reason, practice of Dharma, when we are asking for Dharma is something, I want a happiness without the suffering. And then biggest question is, what kind of a suffering are you talking about? Then you have to more make emphasis on that. And then all the great practitioners, including my teacher, you give all other facilities or some kind of conditions. Normally, people become happy. But the person with a great, having the correct thesis that I wanted to have to practice Dharma, because the reason is I don't want the suffering anymore. Then that person, even all the things that is pleasurable, but he will not focus on that. Of course, my teacher will eat good, tasty food. He will go for a vacation. He will take a kind of a relax, enjoy movies for sure. But this will not make him weak. It is just to take a healthy, healthy vacation to make. So my friend Alex Burzen, when we make when we do some conversation, he would say, the best of the best thing when we are struggling, then somehow we are so fixed on that narrow-minded thing, and then in order to come out, he used this mantra saying, so what? That is so powerful to say, because when we feel it's so, we give all this syllogism, reason, I should be not happy because this happened, and then we ask this question to ourselves, so what? It becomes so powerful that when you are so fixed with this reason, then you feel like this reason is not powerful enough that I should be unhappy. So that's not a good enough reason. So similarly, he's trying to debate with himself with that. So what? Okay, so I talk too much. No. Okay, the next question. Okay.
We talk about the external material form in terms of the eyes, the ears, the nose, and so forth. But what is external material form not related to the senses? Do you know what I mean?
Oh, not related to the sense?
Yeah.
Like the five sense?
Yeah, in itself, what is it? Apart from the way in which humans perceive it.
Uh-huh. I don't know if I know that correctly or not. So without the observation, our five sense.
Yeah, we talk about color is object perceived by eye consciousness. But that's the object in relation to the eye consciousness.
Yes.
But what is the object unrelated to the eye consciousness, unrelated to the nose consciousness? What is it apart from the way in which we perceive it?
It sounds like when I was very young, still now, I have this question, if I'm not looking at this cup as a shape, now I'm looking through my eye consciousness, the shape. So when I close the door and go away, And what is that? So does this go little close to that?
I guess so. Yeah, a little bit.
So still, the mind the perceives the mind which perceives is not more there, but then so in order to say it is the shape or something, do we need to continuously look at it? I don't think so. So even we are not looking at that, it has this all the particles, atoms, I don't know, do atomic, all this together. We could maybe so could you repeat the question again?
Maybe I'll try and state it differently. So, in order to perceive an object, it has to be mediated by a sense faculty. But does the object itself, I mean, we have the perception of the object which is mediated by the sense faculty, such as color. But the thing which is interacting with our sense faculty, it can't be shape, because shape is an object perceived by eye consciousness. And there must be something which comes before that, that contacts with our sense faculty. There must be a cause of the contact. That has to include the object.
Yibres ani mik korang yibdi tongires. Yinayang ngone chene yulla kane yulgi top yen kane sapore. Tananga so mikshi ki top. La tenina so yul din yib labgires. Di ma yimba shik yul rang kya korang res. Ta mikshi la ma tene ta yul rang korang. Di contact so ya di karares.
Pachen tadi sari anju mingi nga rollo me shirse di ta pumzim mishi kiji tangbo how do you say?
The first moment of an eye consciousness perceiving vas.
Pumzim mishi kiji tangbo tang pumba dini tunyambare ngachi duwes.
So is the first moment of an eye consciousness perceiving a vase existing at the same time with the vase that is being perceived by that eye consciousness, the first moment of the eye consciousness perceiving vase? Yeah. So we have an eye consciousness. We have the first moment of an eye consciousness perceiving vase. Does this exist at the same time with the vase that is being perceived by this eye consciousness? Ngachi.
Ngachi. 제장가다 봄짐 미시 기지 당보마게 응야야 봄보여로 소다 봄보도와.
So therefore, before an eye consciousness perceiving, before the first moment of an eye consciousness perceiving vase, there needs to be a vase before that, right?
더디 봄보디 이비바디 dumse kandes shetu.
So then, what reason would you give at this time that this vase is a shape?
Shape is something that the eye sees. So it can't be shape. You can't call it shape because it hasn't been seen by an eye yet.
Shape ma in lab gores, kaisna thana kap dedu mixigi sungcha mares, kaisna kap dedu mixigi tongi mares.
So in the means.
But is it form? Or form source? Do you say form source? What do you say? Form. Visible form?
Well, the five divisions of form are all things which are perceived by sense consciousness.
Uh-huh.
So it would even be hard to call it form.
I sugla na yang kale kapudu, kaisna sug inji minji kanes lab gore wangshiki sungcha ingores.
Oh wait, it could be mental object form, couldn't it?
This is a big debate. This is a big debate. It's a anila chikura. 제장가 봄진 미식이 ngaru도 pomba yoris. Dindi pombadi ane 봄진 미식이 마제비 ngal야 고충버레스. 봄진 미식이 이제 당보 들어봐. 이제 당보 충버레스. 이나양 디 pom버레스. sugres ibres ibimbadi mishigi summa sungone shamares.
So we're saying that there is a vase that exists before the eye conscious perceiving vase, because it is becoming the cause for the eye conscious perceiving vase. But then if this is now a form or if this is a shape, well, we're not positing that independence on sungcha, like sungsare dinanjin.
Mishigi sunguk mares.
But the eye consciousness doesn't yet have to hold it.
Hold it. Hold it, right?
For it to be, for example, a shape.
Hold it, mares. Inaya sungja res shetu res.
But still, it is sungja.
That's difficult.
How do we say sungja? But still, it is an object and
can be held.
That could be an object that can be held on. And how do we say sungja in English?
I don't know. That's why I need your help.
I don't know. I'll check. I'll check.
Yeah.
Sungja.
Sungja
Come and check.
could be held something. Can be. Yeah.
I think
can be.
An object of adherence, but let me check. Apprehended object. Still, it can be an apprehended object.
The apprehend survey.
Or an object to be held, an held object, object held. There are different translations, but yeah, apprehend or hold.
Apprehend.
Apprehend or hold.
Or hold. The Hindu zambe mishigi re di labina korang chwa de len tig dos.
So if we say this, does it give you some answer to your question?
If you call it shape, you're still referring to it in relation to the eye consciousness, to the eye sense faculties. And so I guess I'm looking for the shape independent
Okay.
of its relation.
Nga tsu yip lap ki na ta dung mikshi la tene Mikshe la teni nga so tatung yip lap keres. Ina nga karet segi re lap na ta yip di mikshe la ma tene dit segi yo.
Tema den se di samudang ni gyujing tema den se chi tösu tunjung töne tema den geje ni de ma chukba ina ani ngachi ni gi thone shema thuna yang dil töni shabar ba se geje ni ba di shena
Nga chi ti alio.
di tangbo di gyunje den jung geje der ba ngachi se du ta danda di chal den ta ba di shebal den ko sha go ba tel töni sha go ba se chur ba 오 디게지 니바디 띵중 니바디 게지 셰비나 아니 이지 미지 품진기 미시기지 당부가 ngaro도 pomba yu chogres
Okay. Nga tapche che kon takta lap to ki nang hang so. So if you say independent, like if you say yes, the vase is or the shape is called independence on the eye consciousness. But then there are different types of dependency. So there's of course cause and relation dependency. So you can say independence on its cause. You know, we label it something like that. But then if you're just talking about in reliance on, or for example, then nipadi yang kesuruna. Gyuchi maimba.
떼니 줘봐. 찌글 떼니 샤고 봐. 찌기 가르 유겐을 떼니 샤고. 찌기디 랑기 차실을 떼니 샤고. 봐. 아니 셰발을 떼니 유샤고 봐. 디 뚜둑 게제 뚜와.
So if you're just talking about its dependence or in reliance on the, for example, in the reliance on its activity or independence on its maybe the activity that it can perform, so that they have this relationship, you know. I don't know how to can translate. So not the cause and relationship in terms of cause and effect, but just in terms of relying independent on each other in the other forms. What are the other? How do we say this in English? I don't know.
Penarwa. Tanda ranzu 아니 penang ranzu 그 pomba세야디 아니 고 규단 깬을 때니 규단 깬질 때니 아니 도대체 주jo tunjene 걸 pomba스타 말봐.
So for example, we don't call bumpa independent the definition of a bulbous flat-faced vessel able to perform the function of holding water. We're not calling that independence on the causes of a bumpa, right? But still we're calling the bumpa a bumpa independence on its definition that it's holding, which is not its cause. So there is
the functions function chedang deni kolia ni pumbas tanya taba na shin ta tanda anjogi sheba keji tangbodan sheba keji nibe keje thela tene ani diga ngarodo ani pumba keji tangbodi yu chogres dik töji shigure ma töni keji sheji doa gyujin chibo keji member.
So therefore, even though the first moment of a vase does exist before the first moment of the eye consciousness perceiving vase, still independence on an eye conscious perceiving vase, you can still posit the bumpa or the vase, but not in terms of causal relationship, right? So, but in terms of performing the function of giving rise to an eye consciousness perceiving it.
I think there is this differences there. But normally, 자상한 ranzu 균제 띵중 계제 지부지 셰체 아니 단당 ranzu기 띵중 참모 띵중 참여기 계제데 마 셰베이나 패전디 렌잡하고 지그래.
If you're only thinking of dependence here, not in terms of the subtle dependence, but only in terms of cause and effect, then it will be very difficult to posit it.
When a company, like in these days, the company, the person would just put something in a computer and then he makes thousands and thousands of the vase simultaneously, so quick. And then there is no kind of person who go by one. This is the first one, this is second one, but the consciousness through, not like that. 요말봐. 그 뒤직도 답변은 미치기로 뒤직도 아니 그 유창도 우선 냠도에 쇠 두저로 다 드린 거사. 두저직을 냠도 쇠용 거로 와. 그 뒤도 선배 다 쉐바 당복기직 당복기 니버지 디게저디 게저디 케르브레멘도스. 가전서나 다 거기 쉐베기 파 샤베 게저다. 그 삼로 디기 왕기 때네 그 pom바스지지 시에 게저 차시에당 초바당 텔레데니 신이 게저 시에제 니 게지 당보 니바 숨바스에제 다 게지 당보 니버디 쉐베 게지 당보당 쉐바 게지 당보다 니버 게지 시에디 아니 미겐 세들 와가지고 미겐 다겐 데마타겐스 아니 미겐 세들 좀 쉐바 게지 당보기 게기 쉐바 기지 당보지 될 주들라 메긴스 기지 쉐도로 디다 준데 된중 토니 게제디 쉐드르샤 다 디응엘라 아니 쉐바 기지 당보응도 아니 본바 기지 당보요리 본바 기지 당보요도 선배 디 아니 쉐바 디게니 기지도 고르세 디 게제디 패진 디 준데 게제 토니 쉐는 요로 잡으래
Anybody younger sorona tamadi?
단다 미겐 다겐 데마타겐 세디 균제기 토네 셰바제단 기시 셰바텔 때니 pomba기지 당분이 버게단 계절을 봐 이나양 다 미겐 시도 점베 pomba기지 당보텔라 디양 통경기 셰바 딩 지고를 슬람나 또 동메르와 툭 beginning less
디 메시파나신 말에.
간데레
디 메시파나신데.
미시버 봐. 제상가 디 구구 말이스. 다디 아니 코 단동양 디 본버기지 당보대양 쉐 속레 입레 세 계제디 가르기 셔도 그랬는데 준비 대중 계산 마시 뭐임 봐. 차실 되니 쉐기. 아니 딘중이 계제 쉐 될라 때니 쉐도 그랬어.
디 랍나 도돌랍나 디 타나 봄바디 봄즈믹식 기에베 뉴바 요장 ngazo 딜라
계비 본지미 시기지 아래래 본바기지 당보디를 봐. 딱 아주 단도 쨘바디 그랬으나 본바기지 당보디 아니 이비 바디 간데스 타주. 들어 좁잖아 봐.
봄베 뒤소 카나 봄베 계직 당보디기 뒤소 타나 봄즈믹식
본바기지 당보에 두수 본바기지 가자 본바기지 말에 본바기지 당보에 값수 본지미 시기지 당보 깨기로 와.
깨규레스 제자 봄베 계직 당보 코랑 칸에스 이빈 발라비아레스 아니야 큐라 때네 봄즈믹식 계직 당보 깨기 요장
어디래?
ngazo 다동 예블랍나 디게레
딜리그리스 가자스나 이 균제 계제디 셰바 기지 당보 유명 계제디 멤버체 셰바 기지 당보를 때니 아니 고수인 뭐 셰도도
okay not this subject so there's the presentation of the cause and relation in terms of an arising of for example an eye consciousness independence on its observed object condition and so forth and the observed object condition in terms of right now the eye consciousness perceiving vase would be the vase. And of course this exists at the time of the cause, which means it exists before that eye consciousness. So if you're just positing, if you're now zooming in and saying, okay, at the time of this first moment of vase, which of course exists before that eye consciousness, at this time you're not having the eye consciousness yet being establishing it as form or as a shape. But this is not necessary. If you're only talking about positing this or labeling this shape only in dependence on the cause and effect, it will be difficult. But because there is an eye consciousness later arising that labels it and perceives it as shape, it would be fine to say it as a shape. Dordu di inseria.
또 셰바기지 당보를 때네. 셰바기지 당보를 때네. 본지미 시기지 당보를 때네. 뭐여봐.
Okay.
파도고.
So independent on the first moment of the I consciousness perceiving vase, you can still posit the vase as being shape.
다 디 배제 먼저 균제 띵중 깨자랑 셰모토네 땡에 딱봐 세디 땡에 딱봐 띵중 세디게 쉬우다
So,
땡에 딱봐
gyude la
균제
jigo
띵중 지고 뭐 임바체
So we're not talking, when we're saying independence on that, we're labeling it a shape. We're not saying only independence on the causal relationship here. So it doesn't have to be.
It still confuses me sometimes. Yeah. Okay.
Wouldn't from Sautrantic point of view, they say that because it has the ability to perform the function of giving rise to an I conscious perceiving it, that validates its existence as an object?
Can be a good reason. Can be a good reason. Yes. Yes.
And was your explanation more like a prasangika?
Yes. Yeah, yes. Of course, time to time we always, because we are so get familiar with the Prasankika school, so we intend to answer everything as Prasankika. So the problem is sometimes we kind of intend to jump towards something. We are not making any kind of holding to the position where, especially here when the debate and logic school is based on the Karsa, really, Savatantrika and the Chittamantra, right? Dosam. So in there we need to stay the position. So this is a tip for you guys, because time to time in the Lama Tsongkhapa's text, especially when he is making commentary on in the Tangye Lishe Nyingpo, the equivalence of something, what I really don't know. In this text, he will say this kind of explanation, we need to stick with the Chittamantra school, not get influenced by Prasankika school. That Lama Tsongkhapa's unique quality. So he says, stick with the, stay on the order. Whether you are debating on this, you need to stay there. And also, Adisha is complaining a little bit of you guys about that. When we just go towards that. But it's more like we need to sit there and make it fully understanding of why the Savatrantika school has to hold this kind of position. Unless we don't know how to hold this position accurately, then it's more like you're refuting with the Savatantrika school because through the attachment, the bias that you think deep inside, I'm a Prasankika. And then there's no way to learn how the school, the tenet school works. So at that time, when you study something new, that sometimes you need to bring down your pride somewhere there, and then everything, something you need to install a new thing. And then once you know this position quite well, and then as Savatantrika, and then listening to Prasankika school, you need to feel this Prasankika school, what it talks, it doesn't make much sense. And that's powerful. If you don't have that, then then you will never appreciate going through this tennis school at all. Then it's more like saying we are listening, we are studying like a non-Buddhist school. We are learning that. And then in some texts, it refutes very quickly. Oh, this is so stupid, don't think about it. But then it holds deep inside. We have this problem. If we don't have this kind of attitude, way of thinking, and then no need to study or like that. But then we do have that very strongly down there. If one great Hindu master comes here, and then he who holds the Atma, their so-called Atma very strongly, which is permanent. And then, if you really don't have, you feel like impermanent, you just, that is kind of, you already liked it so much. But he gives solid reasons. And maybe you will get so much influence out from there, then you might get so lost somewhere. And then that really takes away the strength and that you felt, my position is strong enough. That is taken away from you. Not by the only the influence from this master. Because the reason is your position of why, how you are holding towards is not strong enough. That's why if you listen to some of the great Hindu or some Muslim or so other great leaders, some kind of a speech, what it's called, like influencer, not influencer, inspirational speakers, yeah, inspiration speaker. Very funny thing, when our teacher gave this Wednesday class in the evening, the next day morning, I looked on my Instagram and then I was going through like scrolling, and this is a big one festival, one Hindu Lama giving a teaching. So then from the audience, a lady asked the Guruji a very good question. The question which our teacher want us to ask again and again. She asked that. She said, I had enough of this life, and I don't want to have this kind of life ever. And in order to cease this kind of life, rebirth, what will be your teaching? She asked that. So powerful. And she's asking from so much emotion. And then that Guruji gave one brilliant answer. He said, well, don't you just complain. You need to move on. Because if you look, he said, if you are in a hospital, if you are in a kind of ICU, so then you see, if you are not dead, the sign is up and down and up and down. That means you are still alive. And then it goes like this, then you are not more alive. So when you leave, this will happen, so go with that. That's what he said. But the lady got kind of answer to that. But not the answer that our teacher used to give. So then I was like, that was one okay answer, but it's not strong enough for me. I feel it, but now lady is satisfied. I think so. But then I'm with like, no, this still it looks like you need to deal with this. You need to move on with this suffering. That sounds like that. It gives a good example, but not a kind of a strong guidance there. But then I feel like, oh, this my teacher, our teacher gives this kind of a reason why we need to practice. And then, of course, time to time, we need to have a motivation. More motivation we have, like, to get out from the rebirth, and then you will ask for not a better, but the accurate, the more profound teaching. So then, that's what I thought. People who are interested with this clip, then people need to understand Hindi language. So people who speak Hindi, I can share this with you guys. You can listen to it. I'm not criticizing, but then if there is option A and B, but if there is no option at all, then this is how we go. But now, through this institute, from the teachings of His Holiness, teachings of Buddha, you need to feel this. There is another path. So then it strengthens your position much stronger. Like that, the tenet system. From the first school, which is the Chatamawa, Vapashika. From the Vapashika, it start talking about selflessness. And then that selflessness is going much more profound when it goes to the next school. In order to understand the highest, which is the Prasankika's way of looking to the selflessness, that it really need to refute the position of the Chadamawa, the Vapashika schools. But you really don't know anything about that, and then how are you going to refute that? And in order to know that, it is not only to know like, oh, they are saying like this. It doesn't give you the answer. It's more like, I know the reason why they are saying this now. Not like just a news, like most of the whole world, what we get information is just like maybe not a half. It's just not the right one, actually. So we shouldn't bring this kind of understanding in our practice. So in order to understand, and that's why if you look at all the 7 Nalanda Penditas, it's our refuge. But the whole 17 Nalanda Penditas are not Prasankika school. So the great the Baba Viveka, my teacher, is a super fan of Baba Viveka. Baba Viveka, he's the one of the greatest scholar of the Savatantrika school. One of the top opponent of Chandakirti. Then my teacher thoroughly studied Baba Viveka's text. During the pandemic, he had such a great time with Baba Viveka. So that's why he sometimes say, why Nagarjuna, the Chandrakirti is debating like this to him, because he's not saying like that. Why Lama Tsongkhapa is saying like this, but he didn't say directly like that. So he has this all kind of, sometimes he feels like Baba Viveka is speaking the truth. Doesn't mean Chandrakirti is become biased. But he is so curious now to join this. So actually who is getting the benefit out from there is my teacher. So so unless we don't study like this, and then even you say Baba Viveka very kind, the kind, when you look at the praise to the seven Nalanda Penditas by His Holiness saying these kind masters, then you don't feel the kindness there. So my teacher, when he praised his kindness, it's something else, because he earned this. So now he's, maybe for an example, we say, Zeyo tayo di karlagre. Zeyo tayo, imputed substances and substantial tayo. Imputed is tayo. Tayo, imputed substance, existence. Substantial existence. These two, very huge debate between the Chandrakirti and the Baba Viveka. But my teacher said after the pandemic, when he almost like for 2 years he studied the Baba Viveka's text, he said Baba Viveka never kind of saying that the whole phenomena is substantial existence. But whole school is debating like he is accepting that. But in his text, if you look at his text, he does not directly claim anything like that. More, he would say all the phenomena is not substantial, imputed existence. Reason he gives, all the phenomena are like a forest. He gives this reason, like an army. When you say army, you cannot point to the one person. It's a group. And when you say forest, you cannot point to the one tree. So like this, all the phenomena are like that. That's how he says it repeatedly in his text.
This I asked on the other day too. If phenomena is permanent, suppose we take water, human being, they're all impermanent. So how can phenomena be permanent, but then things in the phenomena are impermanent? How can I find relation between permanent and impermanence of phenomena?
Ale. Yoba. Yoba tabaris. yoba tabare tadi nenga chimure yoba tabar kasang azo adisha nganyam adisha ngani keje chungsu yoba tabare sheja tabare sheja chujen tabba inde kyodan tabbe shidin yuwe chir lagura ba di ina sheja chujen obo yimba ta kyodan obo shidin yuwe chesna kyaba ma chung lenje gura ba nyal dijlabda obo chujen sheja da shidin yuwe chir we say that, right? Do you say that? The chezangla di kyaba ma chung len jabya di len de len la rijore de samlo ji tang bi na takpa tang ngobu se gi geje she undu zambe takpa se di ko shiji pa ka che shiji ka che chu she ya ji ma do anzu na shin ji tongya gi ngobu na shin geje she ya re me do.
So when we're differentiating between something being permanent or a functional thing, then when you're talking about something permanent, then it's only through refuting something else that it appears, which is not the same as with a functioning thing. A functioning thing, you don't need to do that. So there's some difference here with the way that it appears. So for a permanent thing, you first the mind first refutes something else for it to appear.
For an example, maybe this could have a relation with that, saying in order to understand that phenomena is the conventional truth, we need to understand the ultimate truth. That we always say that. So similarly, in order to understand what kind of phenomena, that is necessarily we need the potential. The most important thing is we need to understand the basis, some base of the permanent thing of it. Right? So we don't need to say in order to understand understand the permanent, we need to understand impermanence. But there could be one reason we need to say, in order to understand impermanence, we need to understand permanence. Maybe we can put like this. That's why we are trained to say the sheja chujen. What is sheja? We say sheja chujen. 시제 주진 아니 다바인데 최단 다베 시든 유비 치르세당 시제 주진 응오부인데 정오비 시든 유비 치르 니기 나로네 당부디라 아주 탐제 송고야디 세상과 교 딱바 임바 신나 교 딱바 임바지 시제디 교 딱바 임바 신비나 응오부 임바 신야를 숙체 하고야지 개발 유비 차네 배진은 저디 지기 유로스
So, if you say, thank you. If you say, for example, you take those two syllogisms, take the knowable object, it follows that it is permanent because it and permanent has a common locus. And take the subject, knowable object, it follows that it is a functional thing because it and functional thing has a common locus, right? So now here we decided to take the first one, whereas we say there is no pervasion with the second one, right? So, then gonna gyumsen karisons.
제가 시제디 딱바 임베시 딱 시제디로 봐 단다디로 봐 시제디 뭐보다 시든 유비 치르스 라바 대당 딱바도 시든 유비 치르스 해야 되나는 딱바도 임비 시든 유바데 하코발 때니 뭐보디기 니주 야가신야지
So independence on, for example, you understanding that just it having a common locus with a permanent phenomena makes it permanent. Through that, implicitly, you will get a better understanding of what actually a functional thing or impermanent thing actually means. So implicitly, you get actually more understanding about the functional thing by understanding the way that it exists in a permanent manner.
This, I think, Adisha will cover this point. He said in the beginning of December. So keep this in your mind, and that really goes to the directly has a link with I think the 15th chapter of Nagarjuna's Root of Wisdom. In the how in this 15th chapter, how Nagarjuna will start this chapter, he says it's kind of like what is nature? Then he starts with that. So the name of the chapter of the 15th chapter is Rangshin Tapa, investigating on a nature or a reality. What's that? Examining the nature. So then he says, in the deep inside there's debate, and then there is something like, we talk lots of nature, reality, but then he says, I say this is the reality you are talking, but it's not the real thing, the reality we haven't understood yet. So he digs towards that. Even you say this flower, then it's a smell and then color and the shape and everything you talk about it, you're still not talking about the reality, nature of that. Because we don't know the nature of the flower, that's why we are so confused. So then the teaching really starts there. So similarly, it has a direct kind of a thing when we are saying, in order to understand all the phenomena, unless you don't know the kind of understanding of a permanent thing, and then there's no way to talk about the reality of that. Okay, so actually the question and answer is to give you more clear and clarity answer, but I made a mess. I kind of confused you all. So thank you for giving me this opportunity. Anyway, you guys are doing very well. So I checked with Adisha. He's saying he's been getting tired, but so many of you have like enthusiastic towards the debate. So he's super happy. And my teacher also told me that. So keep on going. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Chimba da gondo sambo de de shin de Gewan di da tamji rabdo yongdo Yewa tamji ye owa kan lan shodo nga bande 다신 개베 자와 안디 군장 성부 주지 rab도 Riba shi nindang tsendang zushin rabda ne samche nemla samle jungwa yi tezum ju. Maybe sometimes you read that in English. So then it's not la blah blah blah, but then you will understand what you're saying. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Lunch, I need to rush now. Because